Since you were a child, the world programmed you with one belief. Life peaks at 20. College parties, first love, first job, smooth skin, six-pack abs. That was supposed to be the golden age. And because you believed this, you spent your 30s in quiet panic. You watched the calendar like it was ticking toward your expiration date. You looked in the mirror and saw every new line on your face as evidence that your time was running out. You convinced yourself that after 30, no woman would want you, no success would find you, no opportunity would knock. You thought the game was over before it even started. But here's the truth they never told you. A man's real life doesn't start at 20. It starts at 40. And if you're approaching that age or already past it, you need to understand why this decade is not your decline. It's your awakening. Because now you carry something a 20-year-old will never have. You have a story written in your wrinkles. You have strength buried in your silence. You have a presence that changes the energy of a room the moment you walk in. That's not something you can fake. That's something you earn through years of living, failing, learning, and becoming. At 20, you had raw energy, but zero direction. You were running in circles, chasing everything, mastering nothing. You didn't know who you were. You didn't know what you wanted. You were reactive, emotional, desperate for approval. But at 40, everything shifts. Now you have direction. You have clarity. You have experience that shaped you into someone who doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't beg for validation anymore. You don't bend yourself into shapes to impress people who don't matter. You just exist as you are. And somehow, that becomes enough. That becomes powerful. Think about it. A 20-year-old boy walks into a room trying to get attention. He's loud, he's flashy, he's performing. But a 40-year-old man walks into that same room and draws attention without saying a word. People feel his presence, they sense his calm, they notice his confidence, and they respect it. Why? Because he has learned one of life's most important lessons. If someone wants to be in your life, they will stay by choice, not by pressure. You stop chasing, you stop convincing, you stop exhausting yourself trying to hold on to people who were never meant to stay. This maturity, this inner calmness, this unshakable stability becomes the most magnetic force at any age. Whether we're talking about women, success, or respect, everything starts moving toward the man who stops running after it. This is the stage where you stop being a boy. You step into manhood, and this is where the real game of life truly begins. Age doesn't attract people. Mindset does. Energy does. Presence does. And all of that only comes with time.
By the time most men hit 40, they've already convinced themselves their best days are gone. They look at younger men and feel jealous. They scroll through social media and feel left behind. They believe the world has moved on without them. But a real man breaks that belief. He understands that attraction never came from his age in the first place. It came from his mental energy. It came from the way he carried himself. It came from his ability to stay grounded when everyone around him was losing their minds. When a man realizes he doesn't need to prove anything to anyone, his silence becomes more powerful than any words. His every gesture, every glance, every decision starts to carry weight. People notice, people listen, people follow. At 20, you lived in doubt. You questioned yourself constantly. You asked everyone for their opinion because you didn't trust your own. But at 40, you have clarity. You've made enough mistakes to know what doesn't work. You've lived through enough pain to know what matters. You don't look for approval anymore. You build your own path. And this shift makes you rare. It makes you stand out in a world full of men still trying to figure out who they are. Psychology backs this up. When a person lives with vision instead of validation, when they stop performing for an audience and start living for a purpose, they become an inspiration to others. You don't need to show off anymore. You don't need to please everyone. You don't need to bend over backward to prove your worth. You just need to stay honest with yourself. This is the stage where your maturity becomes your signature move. Your calmness becomes the thing people are drawn to. A true man looks most attractive when he's not a slave to his emotions, but the master of them. That's self-trust. That's real masculinity. That's power. Remember this. A man is not the one who speaks the loudest in the room. A man is the one whose silence becomes the answer. His presence says everything his mouth doesn't need to.
If you're watching this and you want to live with direction instead of validation, Do me a favor, like this video and drop a comment that says, "I am on my path." That simple affirmation will start awakening the inner masculinity you've been suppressing. Say it out loud. Own it. Believe it. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how women look at men in their 40s? There's something different in their eyes. A curiosity, an attraction that doesn't come from expensive cologne or designer clothes. It comes from maturity. A 20-year-old boy talks to impress a woman. He performs. He tries too hard. But a 40-year-old man speaks with understanding. He listens. He observes. He doesn't rush to fill every silence with words. And that difference makes him magnetic. Women are naturally drawn to men who walk calmly through life, men who don't react to every little thing, men who know how to listen without trying to fix everything immediately. Psychology tells us that, for a woman, calm confidence is far more attractive than loud dominance, because deep down, a woman's mind is looking for consistency, not charm. She wants someone who stays steady even when life gets chaotic. Someone who doesn't hide his weaknesses, but knows how to turn them into strengths. A man like that carries an invisible circle of safety around him. He makes women feel emotionally secure. And that feeling of emotional safety separates him from every other man she's ever met. This isn't about flirting techniques or pickup lines. This is energy. The kind of energy that says, "I don't need to prove anything to you. My presence says enough." And from that place, real attraction begins. Attraction that has depth, not just surface-level show-off. Remember this truth. A man who understands his own life becomes meaning in someone else's life. He doesn't complete her, he complements her. And that's what she's been searching for all along. Now let's talk about the 3 habits that make a man absolutely unbeatable after 40. This age is the turning point where the boy ends and the leader is born. Life gives you 2 clear choices at this stage. You can live with regret, looking back at all the things you didn't do, or you can rise with discipline and purpose and show the world exactly who you are. These 3 habits will turn an ordinary man into someone extraordinary.
First habit, emotional control. When you were younger, you used to explode with anger. You reacted to everything. You let your ego drive every decision. But now, you understand. Now when someone disrespects you, you don't react. You respond. When someone tries to provoke you, you don't hate, you ignore. Your mind is now in control, not your emotions. And this maturity brings a certain authority to your presence. People can see it in your face. They can feel it in your energy. Second habit, selective circle. You've stopped trying to impress everyone. You've realized that not everyone deserves access to your life. Now you choose quality over quantity. You surround yourself with a small, genuine, mature circle of people who add value to your existence. The quieter your circle becomes, the greater your life grows. You've learned that peace is more valuable than popularity. Third habit, purpose first. At 20, you were a dreamer. At 40, it's time to become a builder. Your goals now come before distractions. Your mission comes before entertainment. The game is no longer about looking rich or flexing on social media. The game is about legacy. It's about building something that lasts, something that matters. Your focus has shifted from showing off to building your empire, brick by brick. These 3 habits make one thing crystal clear. When a man works on his mission with unwavering focus, the world automatically gives him space. This isn't just self-respect, this is self-trust. And when you reach this level, you don't just become attractive, you become unavoidable. You become the standard. So if you don't want to hand the steering wheel of your life over to someone else, if you're ready to take full control, like this video right now and comment, "I am the master of my power." Let that line remind you every single day that you're no longer a boy waiting for permission. You're an awakened man creating his own reality. And make sure you subscribe to this channel, because here, masculinity isn't romanticized.
It's strengthened. It's built. It's lived. Your 40s aren't the end. They're the beginning of everything you were meant to become.